Hi everyone, welcome to Lola's Frugal Life. This is episode number 235. Today we're going to be talking about how a frugal lifestyle makes you rich. So please stick around for a few quick words from our sponsor and we'll get right into the show. Are you in the mood to learn something new? Well, Skillshare is now offering 1 month free of Skillshare Premium. Unlock a passion, side hustle, or new professional skill with thousands of classes in design, business, and more. Start your 1 month free trial now by using the link within the podcast notes for this episode. There's no commitment and you can cancel at any time. So why not go ahead and learn a new skill that you have always wanted to have? Okay, so today I wanted to talk about how living a frugal lifestyle makes you rich. So the question is, can living a frugal lifestyle make you rich? Well, that all depends on what you consider to be rich. If being rich to you means having an enormous amount of money, just living a frugal life is likely not going to get you there. So today I want to talk about how while living a frugal life on its own is not going to make you wealthy as commonly defined with having loads of money, living a frugal life can make you rich in many other ways. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary online definition states, rich implies having more than enough to gratify normal needs or desires. So that does not mean you have to have an enormous amount of money. It just means that you need to have enough to cover your needs or desires. So there's often individuals that make much more than us, but unfortunately lead much less rich lives because they do not value what they have and they don't appreciate the things that are afforded to them. So frugality can help you feel rich in so many ways, no matter your level of income. And the reason I believe that is just in kind of the main ideas that that people that live a frugal life kind of follow. So some of these things are things like not being in debt. When we live frugal, like for my family, living frugally has allowed us to make changes to our spending that have enabled us to get out of debt. We do still have a mortgage, but we no longer carry balances on our credit cards, and we don't have to charge things when emergencies come up and have to worry about getting them paid off and paying large amounts of interest, and all of that kind of takes away from the joy in your life because it adds a little bit of stress every time you have to see those bills that have to be paid and figuring out how to get them paid off. All of that can kind of prohibit you from putting that money towards other things because you're always in the process of trying to pay off your past purchases instead of living more freely and having money to put it towards your priorities that you have today. So not being in debt or working on getting out of debt definitely can make you feel like you're living a richer life. Having an emergency fund. So through frugality, I learned about the importance of having an emergency fund. Our family never had an emergency fund until last year when we started it, and we just finished getting it fully funded this year. Right before we completed fully funding our emergency fund, we ended up needing a major roof repair. And I was disappointed to have to pull the funds out of the emergency fund before we even finished funding it initially. But having that money available and not having to figure out which credit card we would use to pay for this repair was amazing. It definitely made me feel rich, even in the true money sense of things, because I actually felt like, wow, we're so prepared and we have this money set aside because we chose to follow one of these major, frugality, I don't know what you call it, tenets, I guess, of, having an emergency fund and making sure that we were responsible with our money and saving it up and not using it on other things that we maybe didn't need so that we could have that emergency fund. And by having that, we didn't have to go through this craziness of having an emergency and trying to figure out where on earth that money was going to come from. So just the fact that I have an emergency fund, at all, makes me feel amazing. Practicing gratitude. When you practice gratitude, you're actively acknowledging your thankfulness and appreciation for the things that you have. So you're making a point to think about those things and bring them, to the forefront of your mind. And we often have so many things in life to be grateful for, but we don't always realize it. When we take time to recognize and appreciate what we have, it can lessen the desire to want to purchase more or new things. And just due to that, it allows you to put your money towards what is most important to you rather than always trying to upgrade everything. And the practice of gratitude doesn't only relate to material things that you have. There are so many things to be grateful for, and many of those things are not even material items. And when you begin to really think about all the things that you have to be happy for in your life, it can really make you feel more positive about everything, and that makes you feel like you have all that you need, and that was part of the definition of being rich. Practicing contentment. So contentment goes hand in hand with gratitude. The more appreciative you are of what you have, the less likely you will feel the need to upgrade the things in your life. When you're always like walking around and not necessarily being content with what you have, that's when you get in the process of wanting to say, oh, I need to replace this, and this needs to be new, and this needs to be upgraded, and you wind up using up all of your resources on all of these things that maybe you would be happier putting those to other things, like maybe more travel, or I don't know, whatever it is that you really enjoy. So by practicing contentment, it really helps you with, not always wanting to upgrade the things in your life, and being happy for what you have, and being appreciative of things functioning as they are. And maybe they might not always be shiny and brand new, but they serve their purpose. So you feel grateful to have them, and you don't constantly feel that need to spend money and upgrade things. When you're happy with the things that you have, it makes you feel rich. Okay, prioritizing your spending. So frugal people are usually try to be intentional about their spending. And when you take time to really think about where your money is going, you can make sure to put it to what is most important to you. And by prioritizing your spending, you could often find that you do have the money for the things that you really want in your life. Because often we if we're not like being very intentional with our money, we can make little purchases here and there for things that maybe we want in the moment, but they're not really super important to us. So by really being intentional and prioritizing our spending, we often find that we can have many of the things or all of the things that we really want without having to make that many changes. It's really just about being intentional with our spending and prioritizing where our money is going. Saving up for things. I think this definitely can make you feel rich. Like when you have money set aside, saved up for something, and you're not putting it on a credit card, or you're not like paying for something and then figuring out later where it's going to come from. Anticipation is often just as fun as the actual events or things that we are anticipating. So when we're saving up for things, we get all that joy like along the way while we're saving up, and then also when we purchase the thing that we were saving up for. So frugal people often have some types of savings goals in place. And I don't mean like emergency savings or retirement savings. Of course, most frugal people are saving for things of those nature. But these are more like other various savings, like maybe you're saving up for a home improvement project or for a vacation, or maybe you're going to want to get a new car at some point. And as you take the time to put money aside for these things and you watch your savings grow, it's almost as fun as when you are able to make the actual purchase with that money. And it feels really great when it's time to make that home improvement or go on that vacation, knowing that you have the money to pay for it. And that can give you that feeling of like, wow, look at what we have. We saved all this up and now we can do this thing. And it's not that like stressful feeling of trying to figure out like how to fund these things. It's the action of saving up and then spending that money that you specifically took the time to save for that particular purpose, and knowing that you have no stress to feel about spending that money. That I think really makes you feel rich, because you're like, we have the money for this, we can afford it, we saved up for it, and it just gives you a really great feeling. So, kind of like what I've just been talking about, being rich is not just about money. Most people, you say rich, they think lots of money. So I am certainly not implying that we should not do the best we can to achieve our earnings goals. I'm all about, making the best living that you can, that you want, and reaching for those goals. But because there's nothing wrong with building wealth. I think building wealth is a great goal to have, but I think it's so important that we all understand that wherever we are on our financial journey or on whatever goals we have set, that it's so important to appreciate where we are at now and realize that by kind of embracing these frugal concepts, you can feel so much richer in your life than by just kind of going along day to day and, not practicing contentment and not being grateful for your things and kind of not having that emergency fund and always kind of having like that nervousness of not knowing what's going to happen if something bad happens. So I feel like all of these tenets of frugality that are kind of taught in the frugal community really can help you be rich, but not just considering rich to be from money. It's like that definition said. I'm sorry, I have to read it again where it said, rich implies having more than enough to gratify normal needs or desires. So I truly believe that living a frugal lifestyle can do that for you. So some things that make me feel rich. I just thought it would be kind of fun to share a few things that just kind of came to the top of my head that have developed out of my frugal lifestyle. Okay, one is knowing that I have a little sinking fund put aside to get my kids a fancy drink at Starbucks as a treat if they ask for one. Now, it's not every time they ask for one. It's not every time we run out. But once in a while, if we're out doing something fun and they see a Starbucks and they say, hey, can we get a drink? Or if we're leaving Target and our Target has a Starbucks in the front, I know many of them do. If they see they just came out with the new fall drink, which we did just recently get. I forget what it was, like a apple crisp or pumpkin apple crisp, or I forget what the heck it was called. Anyway, they just had their new fall drink, so I treated them to that. It's a treat. It's not something we do all the time, but I have a little sinking fund put aside. It's not for Starbucks specifically. It's just called family fun, but I'll use it for something like that. Like I mentioned earlier, having a fully funded emergency fund, that totally makes me feel rich. I've never had it before. It's amazing. I think it's the greatest thing on earth. Just knowing that we have that there in case something happens. We don't have to go crazy trying to restructure our entire budget like we have done in the past. Or often putting up things on a credit card because we just only had so much room within our budget to shift things around. Saving up for home improvement projects. That makes me feel rich. I've never... we were focused on getting out of debt and building our emergency fund. Now that that's done, we're actually like saving up for different home improvement projects that we want to work for. And it's so fun because we like are coming up with a list and then what we expect the amount to be, and then just putting little bits of money aside, and having that money aside available to save up for these things is really awesome. Having a budget for Christmas and the money set aside to purchase the gifts, that makes me feel so good when I am Christmas shopping and I'm not worrying about how I'm going to pay for this. I know what my budget is per person. The money's already set aside. I stick to my budget because I used to go crazy and buy people lots of extra things above and beyond what was in my budget because I loved giving gifts. But then I also realized that it wasn't good to give gifts that were above what my spending availability was, because then I just put myself in a bad situation after the holidays. So going out and purchasing gifts that are in my budget and I know I have the money for, that makes me feel totally rich. I'm not going to keep saying feel rich because you know what I'm talking about, so I feel like I keep saying it makes me feel rich too many times. But I have a couple other things that I thought of. Seeing our savings for these various things increase each time we get paid, no matter how small those increases in savings might be. And it's not only each time we get paid, anytime we get any extra money that we weren't expecting. Like we got, I got like a reward from like Costco or something in the mail the other day, and it wasn't something that I was like expecting. I mean, I kind of expected, I get it every year, but it's not anything I budget or plan for. So like even something like that, like as soon as I got it, I was like, okay, that's going to our savings, and like every little bit. Or if I think I got like a refund for like $6 or whatever, and I was like, okay, $1's going here, $1's going there, $4 is going here, and I just kind of split it all out. But it just feels so great to like split out, you know, the money to wherever you want it to go, and just seeing those little incremental increases. My amazing family room couch, okay, I will say it again, that makes me feel rich because I love the couch that we bought for our family room. We had the most awful couch in there for so long. It was nice when we bought it, but we had it for so many years, and it was while our kids were growing up, and you know, they had broken the springs in it, and if you sat on it you almost hit the floor. It was really bad. We needed a new couch so bad, and we found this really amazing couch on Facebook Marketplace. It was for like a fifth of the retail price, and I just love it. And that makes me like, when I got that, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like great. I can't believe we got this deal, because we couldn't afford a brand new couch, not for like the quality that we wanted. So that was amazing, and every time I look at it, I'm just so happy and excited that we were able to get that from someone used that didn't want it anymore, even though it was like basically brand new, and it's the best couch. But anyway, flowers that I grew from seeds in my containers on my deck, they just make me so happy, and they cost like $2. And I loved all summer. Unfortunately, they're starting to die now because the weather's getting cooler here. But like, it was just so amazing, like planting these seeds and watching them grow and watering them every day. And it's so fun to find those things that cost like nothing and you can get so much enjoyment out of. And there's too many more things to list. It's really just kind of keeping an eye open for all of these things that a frugal life can bring you, and realizing that just by kind of practicing some of these aspects of frugality, it can definitely let you live a rich life, even though it's not necessarily meaning you are loaded with money. It doesn't mean you have to be poor either. Frugality is not about, living on nothing either. But it's I guess what I'm trying to say is it's not so much about how much money you've accumulated, although there's nothing wrong with accumulating money, of course. But you can live a very rich, frugal life without having to accumulate a ton of wealth. So that's it for today's episode. I hope this inspired you a little bit to practice more living a frugal life and seeing all the benefits it can bring you. As always, you can email me with any questions or suggestions at lolasfrugallife@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook at lolasfrugallife. You can find a blog post for each episode on my website at lolasfrugallife.com. And if you enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen from. And I would really love it if you would screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram so that I see that you are listening. And also, very important, if you could please take a couple of seconds to rate and review the podcast, that would be really helpful to me. That is how my show will get put out to more people, and I'm totally trying to grow my audience, so that would mean a lot to me if you could rate and review the podcast. I've got some really nice reviews lately, and I was so appreciative of them. So any more I could get will definitely be helpful to me. So if you have a few seconds, if you wouldn't mind doing that. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a really awesome day.